Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Rotoworld Football Show, Thursday, January 29th, 2026. An entire month already almost in the books. Absolutely unbelievable. Boy, does time fade away, you guys. And not the coaching carousel. It just keeps spinning forever, though. Still, somehow, 2 vacancies. 1 fewer vacancy, though, after the Cleveland Browns. I think everyone thinks they hit this one out of the park. Todd Monken comes in there, with their settled quarterback situation. The Browns were just 1 play caller away from, I think, really being a finished project.
That's what you're hearing.
And they had one too many DCs in the building too. Once you remove your defensive coordinator and make a worse, different play caller, I think they're on the precipice.
Yep, Jim Schwartz doing a real-life NBA Centel report and storming out of the building after not getting the job. So we'll talk about what the Browns did at coach. I don't think any of us probably really liked it. We're going to talk about, are the Raiders just waiting for Klint Kubiak at this point? I wrote this morning, and then there was a report that came out that said that is indeed what they were doing.
Yeah.
I've also seen some scuttlebutt that supposedly Klint Kubiak interviews poorly. So maybe the interview this weekend will be key. But we'll talk about the Raiders and Klint. We'll talk about the Broncos firing Joe Lombardi to keep Davis Webb. Is that actually what happened, you think, by the way?
100%. Yeah, I think so.
All right, we'll talk about the Broncos. We'll talk about Mike McDaniel, fell for it again award. Because not us falling for McDaniel falling for Herbert. I'm not reading my own sheet very well. Where Mike McDaniel said Herbert hasn't neared the ceiling of what he's capable of. Mike McDaniel, the latest person in the football world to fall for the Justin Herbert scam. The Jags have kept Grant Udinski. The Jags have also kept Travis Hunter at cornerback and not wide receiver. We'll talk about his dynasty future. About Josh Allen undergoing foot surgery. Maybe Kyren Williams. Definitely Kyle Dvorchak Super Bowl thoughts. We would be remiss, though, if we didn't start with, frankly, the darkest day in the history of the NFL. The single most scandalous development in the history of the National Football League. Bill Belichick has to wait a year to get into the Hall of Fame. Do we have serious thoughts on this? I mean, Bill Polian kind of like couldn't get the better of him on the field, but he whispers in Bill's ear on the way out the door, "You thought I couldn't get you, but I did."
That's right.
I did. And,
I mean, I guess I'll start with saying thank you for the vindication. Bill Belichick, of course.
Maybe not even a Hall of Famer.
Never good.
His own peers don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I don't. Case closed.
Yeah. Well, it's a combination of factors, and we can get into it. But I'll start by saying the combination is this: Henri Guy, who was awful to the press the entire time he was coach.
Don't forget his peers.
His peers, his players. He was just a miserable, awful person to everyone he ever met.
Don't forget even the owner of his football team.
Right.
Among the people he hated the most. His quarterback, he was always jealous of the accolades his quarterback got that he seemed to think he deserved.
Right. And then the other main factor is that he had 0 success without Tom Brady.
Well, I was going to say, hasn't the way, though, Bill has gone on, has had continued, unparalleled, unrivaled success after leaving the Patriots? Doesn't this make this look even sillier?
Right. No, it makes it. So I think it's like you're mean to us and you're a fraud. So
well, don't forget,
I don't think he's a fraud. All right.
I genuinely think a little bit. Prong 2, which I thought you were going for, he is a fraud, to be clear. Prong 2 that I thought you were going for, which is what Bill Polian was gunning for, allegedly, was cheating scandals, just unending cheating scandals.
Gotta keep it real with you guys. Our guy cheated.
Yeah,
he cheated. Kind of, not even just a little bit. He cheated really a lot.
Dude, he was good at it. If there was a lot of cheating, he would get a second ballot nod.
He cheated so much that honestly, the entire football world forgot. Since COVID, they faced $1 million fine for taping the Bengals signals. That happened after COVID. He got fined $1 million. This is literally, the world's kind of pre and post COVID at this point. COVID flattened time. Since COVID, he's been fined $1 million for cheating.
That's awesome, man. Good for him. Also, at UNC, there was recruiting stuff where they were not on the up and up for that. It's stuff that everyone does, but oh man, he should get. There should be a special Hall of Fame for Bill.
Right. I mean, okay, he's going to have to wait a year. But yeah, I mean, so the three issues, the constant cheating, getting caught for the cheating, being a jerk to everybody, and then just absolutely flaming out without Tom Brady. So
actually, I do fundamentally reject that charge. It's one of the most fraudulent sports narratives in the history of
why? What? He was bad before Brady and bad after.
Yeah, right. Oh, Tom was so good those first 5 years and 3 Super Bowls. Tom was carrying that team. Tom utterly carried that. He carried that team so much he didn't even play that first AFC Championship game. Drew Bledsoe did.
All I know is that when Brady was there, Belichick was unstoppable, and before and after that, he did nothing as a coach.
Listen, even when Bill Belichick was with the New York Giants, his success, he didn't have any good players other than the literal greatest defensive player of all time in Lawrence Taylor. Besides Lawrence Taylor, he had no talent on those Giants. This is a bit, by the way. Someone go with me here on this one.
You can't deny the success, unfortunately, and I've tried.
Sounds like you are trying.
But I don't mind it. I don't mind this so much.
I don't mind it.
And he was bad. He was bad. He was an embarrassment to the game, and he continues to be an embarrassment to the game.
It's kind of hard to disagree, even though I somewhat respect him. And I have a really unpopular baseball take that I think kind of dovetails with this. Like most of the enlightened baseball analysts, most sabermetric-minded people find it absurd that the steroid users are not in the Hall of Fame. And of course, to a degree, it kind of is. My take on this has always been people are just not used in modern American life this entire century, really the past 40, 50 years, to there being consequences for actions. Like even if like everyone was doing it, like the league was looking the other way, that's fine. There are consequences for actions, though. They did steroids. People made their judgment. And like it might actually be kind of unfair. It's kind of arbitrary. Some steroid users are in the Hall of Fame. There are consequences for actions. The genie cannot go back in the bottle. Bill Belichick is obviously, probably honestly, one of the 10 most deserving Hall of Famers in the history of the entire league. But there are consequences for actions. If you are the most unpleasant person in every room you've ever been in, there are consequences for actions. And he has to wait 1 year to get in the Hall of Fame.
It's true, though, man. Like I listen, I remember Bailey Zappi. Okay, he was, I think, his last quarterback in New England, and Zappi like played his butt off in this like comeback second half victory. Zappi can barely throw the ball. Like he's that kind of quarterback, just a total dog, right? And so he pushes this team to victory, and he goes into the locker room, and he tries to talk to Bill Belichick, and he calls him, I believe, sir. Okay, not coach, not Bill, but sir. He casts his eyes down at the floor while he's talking to him, and Belichick's like, "I never heard of you." Like,
what's the infamous one where someone hands Belichick a game ball? Is that what you're talking about? He acts totally baffled about why he's getting, and he just hands it off immediately.
Well, no, you're thinking of the AFC Championship trophy, which someone hands it to him, and he hands it to like an assistant. He's like, "Get this garbage out of here."
But someone hands him a game. This is not. We gotta look this up. A player one time handed him a game ball. Like, coach will want this. It was on the sideline. No, it was after someone recovered a special teams fumble or something. They handed him the ball, and he acted like it was the dumbest thing anyone had ever done.
By the way, I heard a radio interview with Tom Brady about this whole thing, right? And listen, Tom said all the right things. He hit all the right notes, but his voice told me that he didn't mind this so much either.
Oh,
he had his reading binoculars for the script voice, that connotation that Pat can do quite well. Yeah. He was like, and I think it is a great injustice that Bill Belichick.
It's good.
Oh my God. Yeah. Bill Polian, by the way. I mean, you do kind of got to give him credit for being, because someone on defector.com, David Roth, had an article where this is so fittingly Belichickian. Like there's just the small grievance, pettiness that Bill Polian is remembering till the very end. You do kind of have to hand it to him.
Frankly, Bill kind of wanted to go out this way. Like he wanted to go out with one more fight.
And well, you know what, Bill too? But Bill Belichick, he was just dreaming of a reason to stiff the ceremony. He's not going when he gets.
He's not going. No,
yeah.
Zero chance he's going. He finally has the ammunition not to go. He will not attend his own Hall of Fame induction. He wants to be an iconoclast to the very end. We want to talk about this till the very end of the show, but we have to move on. Thankfully, there's nothing else And oh my God, the Cleveland Browns. What?
Guys, I said the listeners have to see, and you'll never see it, but you guys should see the text exchange that we had, the three of us.
Time out. Yeah, time out.
Listeners, you will never.
No, never. But the explosion of negativity when the Monken thing
come on.
was unbelievable. I thought that I was like misreading the situation. I was like, wait, did they say Monken and then say no? But anyway, it is Monken, and these two think that it's the worst thing to ever.
Because it is. This is like the kind of hire you make if, again, you need a personal QB's coach, the kind of like luxury hire we had talked about. Todd Monken is not who you hire if you're starting over yet again. And Denny, I think the real thing is that they gave the head fake too. Like they got an interview process that's so rigorous, like so forward thinking. They're making people fill out questionnaires. Like they were telegraphing they wanted to hire a young guy who understood computer. We need someone who understands computer. We need someone who understands the computer. Like it's not called computer, Dad. Like stop.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh, you're right.
And they kept Denny telegraphing they were going to make a forward-thinking, a modernist hire. Instead, they just hired. No offense to Todd Monken, they just hired some guy.
60-year-old Todd Monken.
They just hired some guy. Like, is this Denny? I feel like this is the most obvious one and done we've seen. Maybe since Lovie Smith in Houston. I think Kyle threw that name out there. What are your thoughts on Todd Monken to the Browns? Since it sounds like you actually think it's good, I guess.
I mean, look, Todd Monken, he's a good play caller. Like,
Is he?
Yeah. I was looking powerfully into his background as play caller, and it's good. Like he makes the machine go burr. Is he a good head coach? Well, we don't know, and probably not. And the fact that there is no quarterback and definitely no answer to quarterback. I'm sorry to the Shedeur Sanders folks out there, but come on.
And Denny, as you'll regret that.
The Shedeur non-folks.
Pro Bowl quarterback Shedeur Sanders to you, buddy.
Yeah, right. I'm sorry. You're right. He does have a Pro Bowl quarterback with whom to work.
Curious.
But so I don't know if that. In other words, I don't know if it matters that he's a good play caller or good.
Yeah, it matters. Literally 0%. Like,
and so we're talking, wow. Yeah, we're talking over under is fired by week 11. Next year.
Yeah. Well, he'll make it to January. Adam pointed out I was dying to drop this fact. He's been coaching since 1989. He had one head coaching job. I actually remembered this. Denny, do you remember where his one head coaching job was? In football. I'll say that. In football.
It was in college.
It was in college.
Was it Ole Miss? No, it wasn't.
Wow, you
came close, but you aimed a little too high. Southern Miss.
Sorry,
Wow.
I wrote the blurb, and so I looked. I was in the Monken universe for a while. And
you were in the Monken verse.
I
don't. What was possibly the only possible logic to this hire, Kyle, is like the really boring logic. He hit the interview out of the park. Like that's the only way he gets this job. I feel like, or I guess for a while I thought people withdrawing their names was just people being told they weren't getting the job. Now it definitely seems like people were just withdrawing their names, and
yes,
maybe Monken really was just the last guy standing. What do you think even happened here?
I can't really reconcile not taking Jim Schwartz. We've talked about this a lot in the past, like the Raiders.
Well, you can't, because like if you're firing a coaching staff, you don't just keep one of the leftovers like the Bills did.
I specifically meant in the context of taking Monken. Like, obviously, they should have just started from scratch with, if they could have gotten an Udinski or a Shieldhouse or whatever. Like, shoot for the moon. Why not? I think it's the very obvious answer. But so they go with Todd Monken, and I can't reconcile the fact that they didn't stay in-house with the one guy that everyone really seemed to like in the locker room and had some success with the defense. Of course, I think they should have gone young and like really shot for the moon. But if you don't do that, why not take the locker room guy like the Raiders did with Antonio Pierce? And while that didn't work, I don't think they're going to have meaningfully better results with Todd Monken. So I think it was the combination of everyone pulling out, but them still wanting to bring in a new guy. And the last man left standing as far as a new guy was just an extremely underwhelming hire.
And so Todd Monken, I guess, was going to take the Giants OC job. They could have just kept Schwartz and made Monken the OC. Like, give him the Chip Kelly salary as the offensive coordinator. If it's that important to get Todd Monken in the building, you compare the Jim Schwartz thing to Antonio Pierce. One key difference: Jim Schwartz actually did have some success with the Lions, and kind of like Steve Spagnuolo, after his one head coaching shot went poorly, he's remained like a really respected defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I guess in this situation, I would have preferred Schwartz to Monken. It's just there's no vision. Like, they set it up as we're making a vision hire. Like, we're finally going to do something smart and responsible, Denny.
This also reeks of ownership and meddling, which is like par for the obviously par for the course for the Haslams to be ownership meddling.
I think there was even some scuttlebutt about that, to use that word again.
Yeah. I think that was not like confirmed by national reporters, but it would be no different than a ton of other Browns actions over the past 10 years. So I think it's safe to assume that there was some.
I think, Kyle, I think it was Tony Grossi insinuated that. And Tony Grossi
insinuated. I don't think he directly said
Tony
it.
Grossi insinuates a lot of things, we should say. So not the most reliable Browns insider.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Denny?
Now Monken has to deal with the Shedeur situation, and this is not actually a criticism of Shedeur Sanders, but he has a following in the media, especially, that is so rabid that about him being a legit NFL starter that they're actually pointing to Kevin Stefanski, and they're saying, how can the Falcons have hired this guy who spent all of 2025 systematically and intentionally undermining Shedeur Sanders at every turn? So now Monken is going to be under that same scrutiny. It's a thankless job. I'm not surprised that they just had to settle.
Anyways, we love the hire. We actually all really like it. And the Browns stay Clevelanding. But Haslam, one of the worst to ever do it. I mean,
so horrible.
Truly one of the worst to ever do it.
And you feel bad, Myles Garrett, wasted his prime.
No, I don't feel bad for Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett doesn't feel bad for Myles Garrett.
Yeah, the whole trade thing where he's like, I want to go to a spot where I can win. They're like, you want money, right? And he's like, yeah, that's obviously what I wanted. Like, he got what he wanted. He asked to be on a team, to be generationally wealthy and be on a terrible team. And that's what he got.
He got money and he got immortality. He got the record, even though Joe Burrow just laid down, even though some people are saying Joe Burrow didn't lay down, he did.
He did,
obviously. I'm hoping and praying, sorry to get religious, that Harold Fannin breaks away from this franchise eventually.
Yeah, Harold Fannin's someone I feel bad for. He did not ask for this. He did not sign up for this. Get him out of here.
Harold Fannin, he'll be fun. Monken, that's the only thing. Like, Monken's good. Monken's probably dreaming of steaming up.
Oh man, you're right. All right, hey, we stumbled on a positive. There we go.
I guess real quick on the Browns, Jeremy Fowler did report. Jeremy Fowler reports a lot of things. Some of them are right though. That the Browns are predictably, quote, expected to shake up their quarterback room. Are there any good options beyond just like a lottery pick quarterback here? Fowler specifically mentioned Ty Simpson and Malik Willis.
I thought you said good options. What?
Listen. And Packers fans, please hear me out. Okay. Let me be clear. Malik Willis is a fun, efficient, good quarterback in the Matt LaFleur system. And we talked about how Matt LaFleur loves nothing more than when Jordan Love is out of the game and he can coach Malik, right? That doesn't translate. That doesn't travel well, right? So he wherever he goes next, I would suspect that he's going to either struggle or completely flame out, because that whoever it takes him on is not going to really know how to use him and how to tailor the offense for him specifically.
That's probably a correct take. There is a bull case on Malik Willis where he just didn't know what being a quarterback in the NFL was going to be like. And he arrived in an inept, infighting franchise in the Titans. He went to a good one. Mm-hmm. They developed him. They put good plays on film. Mm-hmm. And now that there is just like, there's a proven way to have success in Malik Willis.
Yeah, now that we can get him in a coherent, well put together organization, the Cleveland Browns.
Really hoping it's not Cleveland.
I agree. I think there's a chance that he turned the corner. I do not think he will continue to turn that corner if he goes to Cleveland.
Yeah, man. I just you put a quarterback who is going to be very sensitive to environment into the worst environment possible, team-wise, franchise-wise, everything, coach-wise. Like
fan-wise, state-wise.
Yeah. I mean, really.
Weather-wise, yeah.
Weather-wise? Good Lord. Anyway, I'm praying that Malik Willis, again, the religion, but Malik
really hope he ends up somewhere in a stable organization like the Dolphins. And
Yeah, get him to Miami. The weather.
That is where he's going, by the way.
That
seems to be kind of an open secret.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, we want to do Packers South.
Yep, he's going to Miami. So thankfully, he will not end up in Cleveland. Will Klint Kubiak end up in Vegas? That seems to just be what everyone thinks. Because there's been some lull Raiders going around town, which, to be fair, always lull Raiders. But because they've been kind of laying low during this coaching search. But Denny, it's because supposedly they want Klint Kubiak. You approve? What do you think?
Yeah,
we'll talk more about this when it actually happens. But
yeah, Kubiak does cool stuff. He seems to be like understanding the modern NFL, where it's headed. He like Sam Darnold might be a Klint Kubiak merchant, but he also may have been a KOC merchant. So we can't.
Klint Kubiak could be a Sam Darnold merchant. Honestly,
possibly. But yeah, I mean, I feel like you could do a lot worse than Klint Kubiak just from an offensive mind standpoint.
Pat, you're grimacing, and yet we just had the worst hire of the cycle just happened.
This Klint Kubiak, I can't listen. I'm not down there on the sideline. I'm not in the locker room. Doesn't really strike me as a leader of men, I'll say. He looks definitely like he wants nothing more to be at his 3-monitor setup designing plays.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, that's fair. And that's why I don't see him as like the long-term answer. But as far as like recent Raiders situations, it's probably way better than
Tom Brady.
But so hard to predict though. Like with Liam Cohen, I was like, what a cornball loser. And then like after the press conference, the famous wait, Pat, what did he say? I forget. What did he say? Duval. After the Duval press conference, I was like, this guy's a loser. And then as soon as he stepped in the field, it was like the players love him. They're playing hard for him. Like Trevor Lawrence is turning stuff around. We were just wrong if we thought he was a loser. Like,
I thought he was kind of a sleaze bag because of the way things went down with the Bucks. The analogy I always made is that he was like climbing out the bathroom window for like, I'm coming back to Tampa.
It's a classic.
Literally climbing out the bathroom window, heading to Jacksonville. But it turns out he was very unsettling. NFL sleaze, where he's like a ruthless, really good at it.
Yeah. It was very unclear if he would be a good, like true, just like leadership kind of guy. He totally is. I mean, even with a guy like Mike McDaniel, like Pat, you pointed out, the players played really hard for him down the stretch. They beat some bad teams, but they themselves were a horrific team, and they went out and. They went out and handled their business against the bad teams. I think Mike McDaniel was thought of as like the least leader of men coach in the NFL. And then they played like they had an average leader of men coach. So I feel like that stuff's it matters a lot. It's just very hard to pin down. And maybe that's what the Raiders are bringing him in for this final interview for, is try and pin that stuff down. But the easier stuff, especially from an outside perspective, since we don't know the interview, is to see, like Denny said, he really understands what's going on in the modern NFL. So from an outside perspective, if we know he probably gets that kind of stuff, we don't know for sure, but he probably does understand that stuff. If the Raiders hire him, it probably means he at least interviewed okay.
Yeah, he's at the vanguard of modern NFL offensive football. Say, my final thought on this: Tom Brady was being really subtle during the NFC Championship game, by the way. Like, anytime you mention Klint Kubiak, I've never even seen a play call like this. KB, but Tom, are you sure? I feel like I remember this. McDaniel's calling this exact play when you were in New England. I've never seen it before, KB. Never in my life seen it. This guy is amazing.
All of his Darnold hate can also be read as like he's failing Klint Kubiak, who Brady probably knows is maybe the next man up in Las Vegas.
It's true. We'll be the next segment up when we return right after this. Don't miss the debut of Sunday Night Basketball on NBC and streaming on Peacock on February 1st. The Lakers and Knicks tip things off. That's this Sunday, by the way. Followed by the nightcap of Thunder at Nuggets. Coverage begins at 6 p.m. Eastern. Almost nailed it.
You're almost there.
Almost nailed it. The Broncos nailed it when they fired Joe Lombardi. Joe Lombardi was kind of like one of those ultimate like make work jobs in the NFL. Like, dude, just show up. Like, Sean will find something for you to do.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's like a fence you can paint, like a lug nut you can replace, like something along those lines. Sean
drinks a lot of coffee, and he needs to be getting the coffee.
Sean will make it right. And so Joe Lombardi was kind of a symbolic offensive coordinator. Davis Webb, apparently not a symbolic quarterbacks coach, was drawing league-wide interest as an offensive coordinator. They fired Joe Lombardi, probably to keep Davis Webb, Denny. It's not official, though, so far. And he's still got offensive coordinator interviews lined up. And the problem for Sean Payton, is that Sean Payton calls his own plays.
Yeah.
And Davis Webb could be lured away by play calling. But That's definitely what's going on here, right? They fired Joe Lombardi to try to keep Davis Webb, correct?
I mean, Davis Webb seems to be very well regarded across the board. Like teams were really wanting to, interview him, probably hire him like right off the bat if they ever could. So I'm not surprised that he's going to get a bump here. The play calling thing, like I feel like Sean Payton maybe should rethink that whole thing. I don't know.
I actually do think it's time for Sean to give it up. And Sean could still be a big picture guy.
Yeah.
I mean, they just went 14-3. So like, can we really? He's kind of like Andy Reid, where though, what he does, he still does so well. It's just other people are doing things like a little better, and like he can get by doing what he does. Still, can he really win a championship with it? It just seemed like a system in need of a little freshening.
I mean, we talked last week about like the EPA data. Like the Broncos were on par with the Commanders offensively this year as far as efficiency goes. That to me does not say that you can go 14-3 every year. That doesn't even say to me that you can be over 500 every year.
It says that you're this year's Commanders, is what it says.
Yeah, right. Yeah, basically.
The ultimate frauds. Kyle, anything to add on Davis Webb, or probably not? We don't really know anything about. Like he's the quarterback's coach. So yeah.
No, I agree that the Lombardi firing was like it's truly another jobs program. Like the person who gets
fired
to write up
a man. You don't really ever see that.
Wait, what was that?
He fired a made man. You don't really ever see that.
I'm sure the moment they hired Lombardi, though, they had also been like, hey, can someone write up the Joe Lombardi's been fired post? Like, we'll have to use this in a few years anyways. Just keep it filed away. We'll bring it up. So to me, like, relatively understandable to let him go in favor of truly, as Denny said, like, I don't want to say a rising star because he doesn't call plays, but I think the league thinks he's a rising star. Got tons of offensive coordinator buzz, and even got some head coaching buzz, which is a very like, we want to get you in the door and interview you. Maybe on the next round, you'll be a potential head coaching candidate. But that is the trajectory of guys who are future head coaches. So to install him as the OC seems just like a very pragmatic move from the, I almost said Saints, from the Broncos.
Listen, dude. Yeah, when we fire Todd Monken, we'll hire you next offseason. All right, man. Can you just chill out till then?
Did we ever talk about the weird Sean Payton moment when he announced that Bo Nix had broken his ankle?
Tell us about it.
Where he, he's like very somber, and he tells the assembled media, Bo broke his ankle. Apparently he suffered the same injury in high school and college. If I would have known that, I wouldn't have drafted him.
Wait, what?
I don't know if I got that sense from it.
No, he said, I told him, if I would have known that, I would not have drafted him.
He actually said that. Was this some Facebook AI stuff?
Boy, oh boy! If it is,
did your dad send this to you, Denny?
If it is, I'd like to issue an apology. No, it's not. And the media tried to laugh, an uncomfortable laugh, and it may have been a joke. But wow! It is. It was something. I mean, okay,
so this is real. It was.
John is always teased a little rough.
It was a joke for sure. Like the first article I found was like talking about the joke Sean Payton told. It's a pretty grisly joke at the time, to be fair.
It is. It was.
You don't get it. He likes to tease rough.
I guess what it makes me think of is like, is this ankle thing going to be a long-term problem for Bo Nix?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, because it can't work without Bo Nix. Like this whole Payton scam can't work without it.
Barely works even with Bo Nix.
Right.
Not to be mean, but
no, right. It barely. They're hanging on by their fingernails when Bo Nix is 100% healthy. Yeah,
they are. So wow, yeah. Sean Payton. Honestly, a lot of bravery from Sean Payton not to just immediately resign. By the way, I lost. Who cares? Moving on. Like back to the box.
I'm gonna go fishing. I'm done. Yeah. I got a boat lined up already. I'm going.
Was a little surprised he didn't do that. So that was brave.
So Payton actually talked. I forgot about this. Payton actually talked. I believe it was the next time. It wasn't that presser. It was the next presser that he was at, where he said it was a matter of when this ankle injury would happen, not a matter of if. As like he called it, like it said, it was like a pre-existing condition. So I do think it's something that probably will be managed. It's probably something that also we sort of the way we talk about with like concussions with a guy like Brandon Cooks, where it doesn't happen for 4 or 5 years. And we're like, I guess he's just good now. But then it could just happen again 5 or 6 years down the road. And we're like, oh, you guys remember when we wrote blurbs about that in 2026? It happened again.
Yeah, so I don't understand how it can be just an inevitability than an ankle bone breaks, but the human body is very weird. It happens to the hamate bone in the hand in baseball all the time. Denny, your final thought?
No, I'm good. I'm done.
So Mike McDaniel, one of the best hires of the entire cycle so far, whether we're talking head coaches or offensive play callers, obviously stands to reason. One of the reasons, if not the main reason, he took the job in L.A. Well, he desperately wanted to move to L.A. Let's be real about that. But also Justin Herbert there, a quote unquote. So every time we talk about the Chargers, they got a quarterback. They at least got the quarterback. And my retort to that would be, what if they don't?
Oh,
what if they don't? And
I mean,
Justin Herbert gets exposed in every single game that has any meaning whatsoever.
I'm not a Herbert guy. Okay, I'm not one of these guys who's like he's probably the greatest to ever do it. But
those people are out there. It's actually insane.
I mean, one of them is the head coach of the Chargers, so they're definitely out there.
That's true.
It's a real thing. I'm not that guy. I also realize that this league is so desperate for legit drop back starting quarterbacks that Justin Herbert could play for anybody out there, honestly, except for maybe like 3 or 4 teams that would be like, we're good on quarterback.
I'd say it's probably more like 5 or 6 at this point. But yeah, Mike McDaniel, Denny, said Justin Herbert has not neared the ceiling of what he's capable of. First off, fact check, not true. He's definitely at or near his ceiling already. I do think, despite being a certified Herbert hater, you could win a Super Bowl with him. Do we think there's one final gear that Mike McDaniel is going to unlock for Justin Herbert?
I actually, I'd like to bring some numbers to this conversation, if I may.
All right, cut us, Mike. All right, next segment.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
31, 38 is what we're marking at.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. He wrote that.
Go ahead, Denny. Sorry.
Right. Well, just between us, then, just between the 3 of us. I can also text you guys this later, but so I looked at the unlucky stats, right? Like whether he actually is just like an unfortunate.
Seriously, you call him unlucky? How
You're gonna like this, so just shut up. So 6% of Justin Herbert's attempts were dropped in 2025. That's the 11th highest rate out of 45 qualifying quarterbacks, but it's nowhere close to the top. Can you guess who's at the top?
I don't need to guess. It's Patrick Mahomes.
No,
it's my dog T-Law.
It's Trevor Lawrence by far.
Oh my God! Come on,
by far. Trevor
Every
Lawrence,
year, man.
Every year has
throw a more catchable ball.
I know.
To be fair, Pat, Mahomes is also regularly at the top.
Yeah. So Herbert had 248 dropped air yards last season. That's the 6th most. Of course, Trevor Lawrence leads by a long shot. But you look at other stuff like that's not about luck, but about his performance, about avoiding negative plays, and he's not great at that. So last year he had a 20% pressure to sack ratio, which is a top 10 rate in line with Justin Fields and Kyler Murray. That's not good.
He does accordion. That really is Herbert's fatal flaw.
That has to improve. And then, Pro Football Focus has a metric called big time throw rate. And for those who are unfamiliar, here's what it is. It's a pass with excellent ball location and timing, generally thrown further down the field and or into a tighter window. That's big time throw rate. Now, Justin Herbert last season had a 4% big time throw rate. That's 24th out of 45 quarterbacks. It's a little below Spencer Rattler. I think our guy needs to be more aggressive. I think he needs to throw it into tight windows more. I think he needs to test the defense more than he does.
Well, and Denny, you may remember that was like the huge question mark on Herbert coming into the NFL. Like his final year at Oregon, all I ever saw Justin Herbert doing was checking down. This was the narrative on him coming into the league, which is why there was such fierce debate about him versus Tua, who went deep a lot off play action in Alabama. It is funny to think there was such a huge debate over Herbert and Tua, but then his first year in the league, Herbert was like uncorking it a lot. And yeah, that just doesn't happen nearly enough. And he always stands to like your mind's eye as like one of the ultimate big play guys because his arm is so big. He does not do it enough. That is where Mike McDaniel really could come in handy because he is going to be scheming up these downfield shots. If Herbert's not going to do it himself, McDaniel is the guy to scheme it up. And so despite all my criticism and quote unquote kidding, McDaniel is an extremely, extremely good development for Justin Herbert in his NFL future.
I'm actually writing a piece. I have these stats mostly because I'm writing a piece on what Mike McDaniel means to Chargers players. And I think it's good. I think overall it's going to be an upgrade for everyone because the Greg Roman system was very stale, very backwards in some ways, and also just didn't have an identity. And I think Mike McDaniel can give this offense an identity.
Kyle, doesn't matter that the Jaguars kept offensive coordinator Grant Udinski. Clearly on no planet is it bad news, but is it really relevant news? Well, honestly, pretty shocked he's staying because Liam Cohen calls these plays to the Jaguars. They really wanted to keep him in-house. A lot of people really wanted to get him out of Jacksonville. He is remaining in Duval. This is actionable information. It's just not really relevant for our purposes.
I think there's at least some action item, or the fact that there isn't, the fact that the news is nothing happened. It's really good because it took Trevor Lawrence like 2+ months to really find his groove on this team. And I think he's a quarterback with the way the team is set up right now that sort of like the Lions in some capacity, you really want every single gear to be finely tuned to make this machine go, because we've seen Trevor Lawrence hung out to dry, and he's not a quarterback who handles that situation well. He is a quarterback. He's proven to be one of these quarterbacks that when the system is set up to be extremely beneficial to him, he really does take advantage of it. There are some quarterbacks that can't even take advantage of that. And he has the physical tools and the willingness to really partake in an offensive system that works extremely well. And while Liam Cohen probably gets the majority of the credit for that, I don't think it's a situation where you want to tinker with it. You want to gamble with like, let's let the OC walk or whatever. Like if he needs a raise, give him a raise. Even if he's not a play caller, keep him in house as long as you can, because we got like a month and a half maybe of Trevor Lawrence playing at like a borderline MVP level. And I think that if everything stays the same, there's at least that's your best opportunity to see an entire season of Trevor Lawrence looking like he did for the final like 6 or 8 weeks of last year.
It's so rare after the kind of breakout season the Jaguars had to keep the whole band together. Someone usually gets plucked away. 18 teams, I think, are changing offensive coordinators. So that is relevant. You're right that the team that put together this revival that proved, I mean, Trevor Lawrence had not even proven that he could be a system quarterback until 2025.
Right.
So Denny, the team that proved this, that is, Kyle is right. That whole core remaining together can only mean good things. Again, not that I thought I mean bad things, but maybe I was underrating how good it could be.
I think Udinski's just biding his time. I mean, he's only 30 years old, and
he's far too young.
I believe he pulled out of the Browns job, if I remember correctly, just like
which was the right call.
Got a good head on his shoulders.
Man, honestly, it really is nice to see like a young, extremely young in this case, head coaching candidate who says, "I'm not going to jump at my first opportunity," because honestly, that sort of situation could go so badly that never gets another shot. I mean, he would fall into an offensive coordinator role for the rest of his career, maybe, but you don't want to ruin that first head coaching job. And Udinski can wait for years if he wanted to.
For every Lane Kiffin who did this with the Raiders and it failed spectacularly, there's 100 not Lane Kiffins where you never hear of them again. So you are 100% right that Udinski actually displaying some good judgment, some reserve. Bullish sign for the young man's future. Bullish sign for this show. We got to take a break. We'll be right back. The countdown is on to the Winter Olympics in Milan. Don't miss watching the best athletes in the world compete for a chance to win gold. It all begins Friday, February 6th, with the opening ceremonies, of course, on NBC and Peacock. Only 8 days away from the Olympics. My goodness. Seriously, where does the time go?
Where does it go?
And I'll tell you where my TV remote won't ever be going is away from NBC unless it's to change inputs to Peacock during the Olympics. This is actually not a joke. The Olympics are just on 24 hours a day in my house when they're going. I cannot wait. Tell you what, Kyle can't wait for some good news on Travis Hunter. Guess what? It's not coming ever. This keeps getting worse and worse, Kyle. Is this quote I'm about to read for you a 5-alarm fire for quote-unquote your guy, Travis Hunter in Dynasty Leagues? ESPN's Michael DeRocco believes, quote, early indications are that Travis Hunter is primarily going to be a cornerback and have only a package of plays on offense. Basically, we know it's bad, but are we going to get like worst case scenario bad? Like, man, talk about counterfactual. He could have been Parker Washington. Like, it's insane that anyone that's plugged into the system has had amazing success. How concerned are you about Travis Hunter's fantasy future after he was like a universal top 3 or 4 dynasty pick last year?
Yeah, I'd say I'm relatively concerned in the way that he is the only player of my lifetime who I can say like this guy could be a massive hit. and be quite literally 0 fantasy points for an entire year because he could just be a really good cornerback. And that's what they settle on, right? And I don't think that's what they want. Obviously, they spent so much on him that I think they're going to keep trying. Like, you don't spend as much as they did last year and then also get a glimmer of hope, right? He had that final game where he gets over 100 yards. They're hyping him up after the game. It was like the peak of the Brian Thomas injury plus poor play struggles, where it seemed like this was the opportunity for Travis Hunter to finally take over. And then he just gets hurt and doesn't play the rest of the year. I don't think you see that and just totally give up on the idea that Travis Hunter is a wide receiver. But I don't think we see what we saw as fantasy players and say, we can just lock him in to be a full-time productive fantasy wide receiver. So my inclination, we talked about this weeks ago with Pat Kerrane. My inclination is that a small number of people doing fantasy drafts are going to be excited enough about Travis Hunter. They're going to overlook all the warts from the rookie season, and I'm not going to have a lot. And that's going to be sad. But I do think those are the hard decisions we have to make, especially when we get more information. And the information, if you just look at his entire season for Travis Hunter, was just relatively poor. It wasn't a good yards per out run. He wasn't earning targets in an extremely high clip. It wasn't even like he was the entire year playing full-time wide receiver. There are just so many paths to failure for him, specifically from a fantasy perspective, that I'm guessing people are going to be more excited than I am. And that's not fun, but that's the game we play.
I do wonder if there's going to be best ball people will talk themselves into Travis Hunter. They can talk themselves into quite literally anything. But as you guys know, I've said if you're going to try to concoct a bull case for Travis Hunter, it's at least that the Jags are coming off a shockingly successful season, but one where they didn't have to force the issue of Travis Hunter, one where they can remain patient in theory. He was not drafted number 2 overall to just be a cornerback. Parker Washington had a lot of success. At the end of the day, he is just a guy, Denny. Is there a chance we take Hunter skepticism way too far, or would that just be kind of ignoring what is right in front of our face at this point?
There's a chance, but the way this works now with everybody so tapped in and everybody so seemingly savvy, people are going to be overdrafting Travis Hunter, I believe, in best ball leagues, especially. My guy, Jags reporter Demetrius Harvey, said on Blue Sky yesterday that it was really unfortunate that Hunter got injured when he did, or got injured at all, but when he did, particularly because the team, he said, had plans to really ramp him up and try to get him into that number 1 receiver sort of situation. Whether that would have panned out for the team, I don't know. He was only targeted. Kyle made reference to this a second ago. He was only targeted on about 20% of his routes. That's not really strong. And it sort of dovetails with a concern that folks had, with him at Colorado, not getting targets at a high rate on, per route. So I think that there are some concerns about whether he can be like a legit, even number 2 receiver. And I think the Jaguars are okay saying, like, look, they're about to lose a lot from their secondary in free agency. It's just not possible if they're going to keep everybody. So look, you were a great corner in college. You're going to focus on that. We're going to have some cool plays for you on offense. And honestly, for real football purposes, that works. That's okay.
And what I said could go both ways. We're like, they could stay patient. They don't need to force anything to Travis Hunter. That could also just mean, listen, like, we wanted to use him at receiver, but now all of a sudden we're set at receiver. And since we don't have to force this, we will just put him at corner. Whereas, like Denny said, we are now undermanned all of a sudden. And several best ball players, let's be real, lose their houses, lose every asset they have.
But that's how the economy is supposed to work. That's naturally
true. That is the free market. That is, you're supposed to be penniless. If you make one bad best ball bet, that's fair.
Just one. But okay, but just between us and no one else is listening. Can we really say that we're sure that Travis Hunter is better than Parker Washington as a receiver?
No, can't be. No. Nope. What was the cope? By the way, I always forget. What was the best ball bro cope about why his yards per out run was so low?
I know. It wasn't actually that low. It was just like non-special. I think I actually, in terms of just like statistically, I comped him pretty closely to Calvin Ridley as a first round pick, which is like a fine, much more like a middle of the road first round pick at wide receiver. Obviously, there are reasons why he doesn't go in the middle of the first round, but he never spent time in wide receiver practices. He was primarily, in terms of like his preparation, a corner. And then they just went out and threw 50 passes a game with a stable of like NFL-ish caliber receivers. They also didn't design any screens for him or anything like that. So a lot of his
that's what it was. Is they weren't, Denny, wasn't that what it was? They weren't designing plays for
Well,
him.
it was about the target per route run thing, and it
Yeah.
was because they used a lot of 4 and 5 receiver sets. That was the
I wasn't understanding. I never understood how that was supposed to be good. Like, so plumbers are getting targets over you easily still.
Well, I mean, the cope was that like he didn't prep with the wide receivers, so all of his routes are like, Travis, like go out and do some cool stuff. And the rate at which he did cool stuff was impressive, given that he doesn't practice with the wide receivers, nor does he get stuff schemed up for him because he's not practicing the stuff that gets schemed up for wide receivers. But yeah, his analytics profile was very like, it was solid, but it was just solid.
And the free market has removed all Travis Hunter money from the American economy. It's just the way it works. We talk about concern for Travis Hunter. Are we concerned about Josh Allen, who, listen, unlike, honestly, most of the NFL, Josh Allen will just play through just about anything. Played through a broken foot this season, which we kind of knew in real time. He was playing through a fairly serious injury. He's undergone surgery. He's turning 30 this offseason. We've kind of quibbled on the show. In some ways, he has a Cam Newton style game. In many ways, he's not like Cam Newton, where he's not taking like car crash type hits several times a game. He takes bigger hits than most quarterbacks, though, Denny. Are we concerned about maybe that physical toll finally catching up with Josh Allen, who by the end of the year, too, honestly wasn't really throwing that great of a ball. Like his shoulder was injured, his upper body was really banged up. He was getting it there, like elite ball placement. He did not have the velocity or even like the loft we're used to seeing. Are you worried about Josh Allen's body kind of falling apart? It's way too strong, but just catching up with him?
Well, as far as like the Cam Newton comparison goes, the rushing volume that Newton had isn't really there for Josh Allen. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all if, you know, him or the Bills or both parties got together and said, look, this can't continue, and you need to be more of like a pocket passer, more of just a passer, not a guy who's running ever 10 times a game. Can he take that out of his game? Like, I don't know, like John Elway sort of did, you know, late in his career, but I don't think he's at that point, honestly. I think that this is a conversation that will probably have more salience in 3 or 4 more seasons. I think that he's just going to keep playing like he does, like Superman. Also, it helps that he's the toughest athlete alive, and he can play.
It does. He's Elway reincarnated. Kyle's like slightly, even I was a little too young to truly appreciate Elway. He is Elway reincarnated. Josh Allen.
I don't even remember Elway.
I think that is the best comp for Josh Allen. Elway, all you'll ever see now on the social media is Chiefs fans pulling up his Pro Football Reference and going, he wasn't even good. Because you don't understand, his completion percentage was low. And then it's like, let me show you what a football game looked like in 1988. And, hold on, they helmet to helmet hit him on the coin toss, and he's totally fine.
Right,
he keeps playing.
Elway, like every game would be like picked up and thrown by a defender. Like
there's so many of those in his old highlights.
Yeah, like that Jim McMahon thing, where that Packers defender had him on his list. Like that happened to Elway like every other week.
It did. And Josh Allen is Elway for the modern age. Kyren Williams, Kyle, RB1 day is over. We're putting the Rams season to bed. Denny and I talked about Stafford on Tuesday. We'll be talking about the Rams a lot. Kyren, his story in fantasy was always, I play every down, guys. And he kind of did in the playoffs. They're actually not lying about that, it turned out, trying to keep him healthy. But it's not like they're going to be like next season, like, all right, we don't care about keeping you healthy anymore. Because he lost too much work to be an off-season top 12 running back in best ball drafts or just regular drafts.
I mean, even in the playoffs, though, it was the first game versus the Panthers. The backfield was pretty split, close to even. It was still a 1A, 1B situation. Second game, who did they play in the second game? That would have been Bears. They actually went back mostly to Kyren. But the third game, it was a 10-9 rushing split once again. And maybe we wouldn't expect it to be that close to a 50-50 split this coming year. But it was a very stark shift, even in the regular season, compared to 2 years ago, including the playoffs. Williams finished this year with 60% of the carries, 53% of the routes, and 59% of the goal line work. Those numbers were 78%, 64%, and 75% of the goal line carries. And this is coming into a year in which they change their approach at the goal line to not carry as much because they have the ultimate goal line running back, Davante Adams, who catches his goal line touchdowns. So not only is the goal line pie potentially shrinking because they're throwing at the goal line to just an awesome, like 50-50 ball player in Davante Adams, but the pie that he has, the cut of his pie, is also shrinking. So the goal line work's going down.
His pie. Wow.
His cut of the
I knew what you meant, but
yeah. His cut of the pie is going down. That's on top of the rushing work he's getting going down. The route running he's getting going down. I still think because the Rams are a really good offense and he's a solid player who sees a lot of work in an era where we don't really have these 75% snap share type of players anymore, he could hang in that like running back 10 to running back 14 kind of fringe RB1 range. But any hopes of him being like a top 10, anything more than a top 10 running back, those days are probably, they've passed.
All right. Denny, well, the whole time Kyle was talking, I was working on a bit in my head, but you go first, Kyle, or Denny.
I had a slightly, I guess, more positive approach here. Although, you're right about the fact that Blake Corum was a problem for most of the season.
Blake Corum is going to be a problem.
And then Corum was, of course, completely sidelined when it counted the most. But nevertheless, Kyren Williams was 6th in the entire NFL in rushing yards this season, 4.8 yards per carry, top 20 in rush yards.
Don't care.
Per attempt. He led a Rams backfield with the league's highest success rate. I don't know. I feel like he could easily be an RB1.
Well, Denny's getting at an important point is there's a huge subset of the fantasy community of which I'm a part, that just looks for any reason to move on from Kyren Williams. Like, this is moving on from this time is going to be real.
The thing that matters most with running back evaluation for fantasy purposes is, does the coach like him? And no coach loves their running back more than Sean McVay loves Kyren Williams. And I get it, guys. I get it. The Kyren thing, it's boring. He's boring. He's not explosive. It just doesn't matter if your coach loves you that much. And
does he love him that much though?
He's starting to like Blake is the problem. He's starting
to like Blake. I mean, in the playoffs, like the last game they played, he saw one more carry than Blake Corum, and Corum was way better than him on those carries, but he literally outcarried him by one.
Curious, Denny.
Yeah, I mean, Corum's better.
Corum's better and seeing like 40% of the work.
Yeah. The whole time you guys were talking, I was thinking of an English aristocrat telling his valet to flag down that young man because he liked the cut of his pie. Lucius, I loved the cut of that young man's pie. Go find him. I can't do it.
Right. Yeah, it's Ebenezer Scrooge situation.
Yes. Head out to the cobblestone streets to track down that young man. Speaking of young men, Kyle Dvorchak, his speech is being silenced next week. Denny and I are going to San Francisco, California. Going to bring you a lot of good content on Super Bowl LX. Kyle's not going to get to offer his Super Bowl thoughts every day like we are. And Denny and I will begin the week with one opinion. We'll end it with an entirely different one. Mm-hmm. That's what you do out on Radio Row. But Kyle, we would be remiss if we did not ask you, what are your thoughts? Who's going to win Super Bowl LX?
Patriots win, Drake May hero mode. That's my call.
Wow. I want the Seahawks, I think. I do. I love the Sam Darnold story. I hate that I'm going into like feral Boston fan mode, but like the disrespect and the hate the Patriots are getting is like so absurd to me. Like, you don't understand. It's bad that they went 14-3. Like, you don't even get it. It's bad that they dominated their weak competition all year, including in the playoffs. Like, don't you get it? It's bad. And like they've never played a quarterback like Sam Darnold, dude. Like, you have no idea, dude. They have never seen anything even like this. And I do find myself kind of defending the Patriots, which, God, that's not a position any man should be in unless they're a Patriots fan. But
wait, so you are you saying Patriots win easily or just
no? It's going to be a dogfight, like, because the Seahawks are clearly the better team, player 2 to 53. I think that's not even like up for debate. But player number 1, the most important player in football, and who I think is probably, especially because you should only vote for the MVP, you can only vote for the MVP on the regular season. I think was the regular season MVP. Perfectly fine saying he was the second most valuable player in the regular season. That player plays for the Patriots, and that's the side I want to be on. In the same way that, like, when Mahomes played on these garbage teams for like 3 or 4 straight years, we were like, whatever, they've got Mahomes, he'll do Mahomes stuff. And Drake May hasn't hit that status yet, But I do think there's a very real chance we look back at this year and say, like, oh, he did hit that status. We just didn't know it at the time.
And I think to Kyle's point, 2-53, it's not like the Seahawks are that far ahead of the Patriots. They're just like kind of the slightly better version of the Patriots. I do think at 1-53, we probably continually underrate Sam Darnold, but the Patriots have the edge at the best position.
I think
the most important position, I should say. Excuse me. Sorry, Denny.
It's okay. I think the Seahawks secondary is in position to eat these Patriots pass catchers alive. And so I'm not doubting Drake May. I think, obviously he's really good, probably should be MVP, all that. But I just don't know how this New England offense is going to score points against the Seahawks. Even if Darnold's bad, I feel like the Seahawks can just kind of still win.
It's a really
same way they did it all year.
I know
somewhere, and it's a sick throw.
You don't understand. Matt Collins is back in shape now after the AFC Championship.
I know. Look, I get that it just happens, and
it does just happen.
the spreadsheets are telling me Seahawks blowout win, and I know that that's going to get a lot of pushback, but
I do feel confident it will not be a blowout. I feel very confident in that. And it's unfortunate it's a little bit lower wattage Super Bowl. Patriots fatigue is very real. Sam Darnold is not moving the needle, but it's just from a football perspective, a completely fascinating match.
it is.
Totally fascinating matchup. And Denny and I will talk to you about it every day next week from San Francisco, California. We really appreciate you listening then. We, of course, appreciate you listening now. And we hope we make you proud next week. And so for Kyle Dvorchak, for Denny Carter, I'm Patrick Daugherty. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you very soon.